No, you didn't read the title wrong. It's really going to be a frozen brisket. And I'm really going to cook it on the Weber kettle using the slow and sear. Yeah. Hey, yo, this is Dash. Get ready. Alright, so let me just break this down to you guys. I had a bit of an inspiration. So, one of you guys, one of the subscribers, one of you subscribers, and this is a subscriber who's been subscribed to me he's been subscribed to me since just after I got, or just about the time that I got Sammy the Big Green Egg. So he's been subscribed to me for a good, it might even be 2 years almost. But this guy's name is Teddy. I met Teddy and I talked about Teddy in a video a few years ago because after the Eagles won a Super Bowl, which is back in 2017, he saw me out and about with my wife, and he came up to me and I thought he was about to tell me something or say something to me about the Eagles because I had on the illustrious Eagles hat. But he said, "Hey man, I'm a big fan. I watch your videos on YouTube." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." So he starts telling me about the videos he's watching, and he recently saw me get the Big Green Egg and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, this doesn't happen. Like, wow, this is a big deal. So we took a picture then. Fast forward to about 2 or 3 months ago, I saw him down at the farmer's market. We get to talking, and he tells me that he's done 1 or 2 briskets, and he really, wanted some help, and he would like to pick my brain for a few moments. So the last time he did a brisket, he said everyone was waiting for this brisket to be done, and I'm like, well, if people were waiting for the brisket to be done, you got to start the brisket earlier. So he's like, I was hoping you weren't going to say that, but we all know the answer. Brisket is going to take as long as it's going to cook, so you have to cook it for as long as it's going to need to cook. Anyway, let's present day. Well, last weekend. So last week, he hit me up. Teddy hits me up and he says, "Hey man, I would like to invite you over. I'm having a little bit of like a community cookout type thing, and I'm gonna be doing some brisket, and I would like for you to come over and to try the brisket." And I said, "Okay, well when is it?" It's a Saturday. I said, "Unfortunately, this Saturday I have a birthday party to go to. It was my dad's wife's. They had a surprise 60th birthday party, so we went to that. Unfortunately, I can't make your event. But he said, "Well, is there any way I can pick your brain about this cook?" And I said, "Okay, sure." So we get to talking. Basically, in a nutshell, what I ended up doing was I went over to his house and I helped him cook his brisket. The thing that he showed me, yes, I am capable of learning. The thing he showed me was he used the slow and sear, and he inspired me. So Teddy, this one is for you. He inspired me to use the slow and sear I have on my Weber kettle, Charlotte, and I'm going to be cooking this brisket. Now I've had this brisket, again, it's still frozen. I've had this brisket in the freezer. For, I feel like it's been a year. It probably hasn't been a year. But I had plans to do something with this brisket, and then because this brisket is so small, this is like I feel like I don't have a scale. Don't you hate it when your multi-scale goes into the wrong mood and you have to switch it, and it's not easy to switch the modes. Alright. It's 5 pounds, 10 ounces. I don't know how I got such a teeny tiny brisket, but I don't even remember where I got it from. But you figure it was close to a 6 pound brisket. Now this is a full brisket. This is a whole packer. This is not just a flat. This is a very tiny brisket. Anyway, I'm going to get this tiny brisket. I'm going to get my little tiny dancer brisket onto the Weber kettle, Charlotte, and I'm going to use the slow and sear. So I've already gotten the slow and sear pretty much prepped. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to light the charcoal chimney, get a few coals into the charcoal chimney, get the slow and sear started. Then I'm going to take this frozen brisket and I'm going to put it out on the grill. use it as a smoker, and we're gonna get everything set up. But let me get the, actually, so this can sit here for a moment or so. I'm gonna get the grill started. Come on outside. All right, so out on my grill, I have my slow and sear. So I have my slow and sear set up. I don't have any water in the slow and sear just yet, but I do have just regular, you know, king strip briquettes in the grill or in the slow and sear. Now what I did was I took a split and I cut the split up into chunks, okay? So you see little compound saw, miter saw, yeah, compound miter saw. Cut the splits up into chunks, and what I did was I put 2 chunks down at the bottom, and I'm gonna put 3 chunks across the top once I get my grate on. But I have in the corner, I have a little divot where I'm going to pour the, now this is a joke, Teddy used 12, exactly 12 charcoal briquettes. So I'm gonna get the tumbleweed and get the briquettes going in the charcoal chimney. Once I get them going, I'm gonna pour them off into the corner, get the temperature set on the grill, and I'm gonna get the temperature, to keep the temperature down in the grill to about 250 degrees. So that's what I'm shooting for. So I'm gonna get all this set up and, or finish getting it set up, and I'll bring the brisket out. All right, so I have my charcoal chimney set up, and I have about a dozen briquettes down in the bottom of the charcoal chimney. I'm going to pour them off to the side of the, sorry, there's a lot of traffic going. I'm going to pour them off to the side of my slow and sear. Once I get them into the slow and sear, I'm going to try and keep the temperatures down, and this is not going to take very long at all to come up the temperature. Keep the temperatures down. I have my thermometer set up. I'm going to be monitoring it. I'll be just inside the house. So, yeah, I'm excited about this one. All right, so I know this is a bit difficult to see, but I wanted you to see how I have my charcoal set up. So you can see I have a couple of the chunks down in the bottom of the slow and sear there. And I have this little pocket over here where I'm going to take this bit of coals, and we're going to start those over in the corner. Now, at this point, I'm going to get my grate on. Now you might be saying, "Oh, you put the grate directly on top of the coals, it'll be all right." They'll kind of cook down. So at this point, I'm gonna put 1 chunk right there. We're gonna put 1 chunk right there, and 1 more chunk over here in this corner. So at this point, we stagger our wood, so we'll have wood throughout the entire cook. All right. So at this point, I'm gonna get the grill covered up. I'm gonna get it up to temperature. Then I'll get some water into the slow and sear, and as you see, we have, it's just smoldering already. So we'll just let it be after I mess with it. Okay, so at this point, you see I put a chunk here, and a chunk here. So as the charcoal gets lit and the fire travels across, we'll have smoke throughout the entire cook. All right. I'm going to let this come up to temperature, and I'll be back out here in a couple minutes. All right, so before I forget and don't show you this, I want to show you how and where I'm going to be setting up my thermometer. So I'm going to put the probe in the corner halfway between the end of the grill and where the heat is coming from. Now the reason I'm pointing the probe this way is because what I found with the slow and sear, the heat comes up over the dome, and this is actually the hot side of the grill, at least when I'm using the water pan. I pretty much almost always use the water pan, so I'm thinking it'll pretty much be the same again once the heat comes up and it radiates this way over. So I'm going to put the probe off to the side and have the probe sticking this way and not this way, because this is the cooler side, this is going to be the warmer side. So at this point, I'm gonna get this covered up and I'll be back out in a couple minutes. Alright, so I'm back out at Charlotte, and my thermometer on the grate is showing 286 currently. So we definitely have enough heat in here to get this going. I'm going to add water into the water pan here. And just to let you know, that container, the water trough there, holds 1 quart. But at this point, I'm gonna go back inside. I'm gonna get my brisket and we'll get it put on here. I'm gonna throttle the intake down. I had it wide open. I'm gonna throttle it back to a quarter. Quarter open. Yep, I have a quarter open. I wanted to just double check visually. And I'm gonna get this covered back up. Go get my brisket so the temperature doesn't run away. And I'll get it opened up and put out here. Like I said, still frozen. I actually did put it back into the freezer. All right, so at this point, let's get the brisket opened up. I'm trying not to make a mess here, or drop the brisket for that matter. Go with my little brisket now. So because I know the heat is coming up this way, I'm actually we'll leave it on like this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get it onto the grill, and I'll turn it around in about an hour so that this side as well as this side both have a chance to get that nice you know, bark going. But other than that, I'm gonna monitor the temperature and fiddle with the, trying to keep this at about 250 degrees, between 250 and 275 at the grate. So wish me luck. All right, so it's been 2 hours, and I'm hoping by now the brisket should be thawed enough where I can get a probe in it. I checked at about the hour mark and it wasn't done enough, but it's been 2 hours, and we're definitely seeing some good color on the brisket. I'm gonna go ahead and get it flipped around. Now I am cooking this brisket fat side up. Oh yeah, we are thawed. All right, so get this flipped around. Yes, this looks great. And let's get the probe in here. And that's it. So I do have the other probe and it's looking good. The wood supply is looking good. It looks like the charcoal is heating up and cooking from the underside. I don't have a problem with that, but we're definitely looking good on this brisket right now. I moved it up just a little bit so that it wouldn't be on the edge of the grill. Our water still looks good. Our smoke looks good. And we'll just get this covered back up. I'll check it again in another 2 hours maybe. Either that, or I'll let the temperature dictate when I come back out here. Right now, currently it says it's sitting at 106 degrees, so I'm okay with that. A lot of common wisdom is you pull your brisket at 160 to 165 degrees. Little brain fart there. I don't know. I'm gonna see how this looks, and if it looks like it can be pulled off, then I will. If it looks like it needs to stay on, then I'll keep it on. But other than that, like I said, I'll check it in another 2 hours. I have also the temperature that in here has been staying pretty consistent. It's in about I've been playing with it up and down between about 240 and 270. I have gotten it, or had gotten it zoned in at about 250, but of course I just opened it up. That's why we're seeing a little bit more smoke. And we'll see if I can get it dialed back in at about 250. 2 hours later. Alright, so it's been another 2 hours, and I can tell you guys, this brisket is smelling great. But let's take a look at it and see what it's actually doing. Alright, look at that. We're getting a great bark, and the temperature seems to have increased because I am getting a lot more boiling water down there, and almost all of the charcoal is completely lit. But this is the star of the show, and I have my thermometer in there, and the thermometer right now currently is reading 156 degrees. So we are not far off if we're going to shoot for the... So we're not far off from the typical 160, 165. I guess I'll kind of keep an eye on this, and maybe I'll pull it at 165. And this just, I don't know if I'm gonna leave it out here. Unfortunately, I don't know if I have any foil pans to put this in. So that kind of sucks. I don't have any sort of butcher paper, and I really don't like wrapping in aluminum foil. But maybe, just maybe today, we'll wrap this in aluminum foil and see how it is, how it turns out. All right, so I'll see you guys when I check on this next. All right, so I'm back out at Charlotte, and I'm going to actually, for the first time ever, wrap this brisket up in foil. Never done it before because I always just use foil pans. But I'm out of foil pans, and I don't want to run to the store just to get one, especially because the foil pan is not going to fit on the Weber. So we're just going to use foil. F it. Alright, so my water is out. Let's get the probe off of the meat. Let's get the meat into the foil. And I'm going to wrap this up tightly like a burrito. I don't know what the proper way to do this is. Like I said, I've never done it before. But we're going to do it. So I have 2 pieces of foil, and I'm going to, they're slightly overlapped. I think I probably could have gotten away without doing that, but alright. Wrap this up. And we'll wrap this up kind of like a burrito. I just kind of want to keep track of where the top is. This end was the top. What was it? Crap. Crap. I can't remember. Why I use foil pans, because it's so much easier than a foil pan. I wouldn't have to be going back in and looking to see, because I would have remembered. Darn it. Oh well. Okay. This is my fat cap, so this is the top. Now, all of the edges, I'm trying to fold them up so that if this leaks or anything, we won't have a problem. Now, obviously, I'm going to get this back on the Charlotte, and I'm getting my probe back down in here. You can see this is where the point is, this is where the flat is. I'm going right in the middle, and I just, over time, you kind of figure out where halfway is. So let's get, I'm not going to add in charcoal, but I'm going to knock this charcoal that's kind of stuck here on the edge down into the pond there. And I don't think I have to worry much. At this point, I can actually take this chunk that's not burnt off out. But I'm trying to get some of this ash out, and it's not doing anything, so I'm just going to leave well enough alone. At this point, I'm not going to worry about the temperature too much. Get it covered back up. I'm going to open the vent all the way up, the exhaust vent all the way up, and I'm just going to let it go. I am going to monitor the temperature. If I start to see the temperature drops really low, then I will come back out here and I will get some more charcoal. And I think I might just add some more charcoal to this period, because obviously I want to get the temperature up. The temperature currently on the grate is 150, there's 163 degrees on the grate. So I need it to be higher than the temperature I'm trying to get past. So it'll come up in temperature, starting to climb up. It's at 174 currently. I stirred that charcoal around, and obviously I got that wood going, so now we're doing some more smoking. I really could take that wood out of there, because it's not going to add any, there's not going to be any value add in leaving that on there, especially with the brisket being wrapped up. So I'll see what the temperature comes back to, and then like I said, I'll decide whether I'll add some more charcoal or just let it go. All of the water is out of the smoker, so at this point I can hopefully just regulate the temperature and maybe even be able to finish this cook. I'm not 100% sure. I've never done a cook like this, a long cook with the slow and sear.
More butter, baby.